They say he's broken. Too many years alone. Too many nights without love. But what they don't understand is this. Every second he spends in silence sharpens him. While others scroll, he reflects. While they beg to be noticed, he disappears and builds. He doesn't just survive solitude. He becomes dangerous because of it. Part 1. Society's lie versus the Stoic truth. They told him he needed someone, that without a partner, he was incomplete. That love would save him, complete him, define him. But that was never truth. That was conditioning, disguised as care. A lie whispered into his ears before he could even speak. Find the one, settle down, build a life together. But what they really meant was, become dependent, be predictable, stay small, because when a man learns to stand alone, he becomes unmanageable, unowned, unapologetically free. The Stoic sees this clearly. He doesn't crave the illusion of completion. He sees that most relationships are built on emotional hunger, not virtue. Most chase love to avoid facing themselves. But the man who walks alone, he doesn't flinch when he's unseen. He doesn't shrink when he's ignored. Because his worth doesn't come from being desired. It comes from knowing who he is. And in that solitude, a new voice rises. Not the voice of fear, not the voice of need, but the voice of inner command. A voice that doesn't beg, it leads, it builds, it creates. And once you hear that voice, the voice of who you really are, the world can never silence it again. Part 2. The Alchemy of Solitude. Solitude is not a sentence, it's a forge, a sacred crucible where the weak parts of a man are burned away. Most fear being alone because it forces them to face the one thing they've always avoided, themselves. But the Stoic steps into the silence, and instead of drowning, he learns to breathe underwater. No more fake smiles, no forced conversations, no draining performances just to be liked. Instead, he wakes up to the rhythm of discipline. While others are glued to screens, he's reading the ancients. While they swipe right for validation, he's sweating under iron, crafting resilience. While they seek dopamine, he seeks direction. And the silence, it speaks. At first, it's uncomfortable. Then it's cleansing. Eventually, it becomes holy. Because a man who invests in his solitude, he doesn't just level up. He transcends. He rewires his instincts, reprograms his desires, redefines his worth. And suddenly, the things that used to tempt him, meaningless sex, shallow attention, empty praise, start to feel cheap beneath him. He no longer wants escape. He wants excellence. And solitude becomes the altar where that transformation begins. He doesn't fear being alone. He fears wasting the man he's becoming. Part 3. Emotional immunity. Most men break when love breaks. They fall into silence, but not the sacred kind, the desperate kind. The kind filled with begging texts, sleepless nights, and regret. But the man forged in solitude, he doesn't shatter. He absorbs the blow. Why? Because he's felt emptiness before, and instead of fearing it, he befriended it. There were nights when no one checked on him. No good mornings. No, I miss you. And in that void, he learned to become his own anchor. So when a woman leaves now, he doesn't chase. He doesn't crumble. He simply watches with clarity, not confusion. Because he's no longer emotionally starved, he doesn't need affection to feel alive. He's alive because he's in command of himself. Try to manipulate him with silence. He'll welcome it. Try to test his jealousy. You'll find only stillness. This terrifies people, not because he's distant, but because he's not afraid to lose you. That's power. That's peace. That's Stoicism in action. Like Epictetus said, only the educated are free. And this man, he's educated in pain, fluent in silence, and immune to emotional warfare. Part 4. Psychological rebirth. While others waste years in toxic love stories, repeating the same cycle, falling fast, losing themselves, then begging to be seen again, he disappears into solitude and emerges someone new, not bitter, not broken, reforged. Because real transformation doesn't look pretty. It looks like isolation. It looks like silence. It looks like letting go of everything that once made you feel wanted. So you can finally become someone who doesn't need to be wanted at all. He starts saying no, not out of anger, but because his energy is sacred now. And anything that pulls him away from purpose is beneath him. He no longer answers every text, no longer validates every compliment, no longer plays the game, because he doesn't need more followers, more dates, more attention. He needs less noise. The man who once looked in the mirror, searching for approval, now looks in the mirror and sees a soldier, scarred, focused, alive, a king. But not the kind that wears a crown, the kind that wears silence like armor. He doesn't fight to be chosen. He's already chosen himself. And now, the world adjusts to him. Because when a man chooses himself, not once, but every morning, in every small decision, in every disciplined act, he becomes untouchable. And those who once tried to shape him can no longer even reach him. Part 5. When power replaces need. Something changes when a man stops needing others. You can see it. You can feel it. He stops bending. He stops chasing. He stops trying to fit into a world that was never built for him. And people notice. Suddenly, she wants to know why he's so calm, why he doesn't flinch, why he's not reaching out, asking for a second chance. It's because he doesn't run on attention anymore. He runs on purpose. He walked through the desert of solitude. And while others begged for a drop of validation, he built a well within himself. Now, he quenches his thirst with mission, with discipline, with direction. You can't manipulate a man like that. You can't guilt him. You can't tempt him. Because his peace is not a reaction. It's a decision. And his stillness is not passivity. It's power. He speaks less, observes more, moves only with intent. And that aura, the one that draws people in, it wasn't given to him. It was earned through silence, through solitude, through sacrifice. Part 6. Attraction without words. Here's the paradox. The more a man disappears from the noise, the more the world leans in to hear him. He doesn't post for likes. He doesn't text first. He doesn't flirt for sport. Because he's not performing, he's building. And while others showcase, he sharpens. That's what she notices. Not his muscles, not his car, not even his jawline. She notices the silence around him, the discipline in his movements, the way he looks at her, calm, steady, like he's not impressed by beauty because he's seen something deeper, himself. He doesn't chase, he doesn't overthink, he doesn't try to prove anything, because he's already proven it to himself in solitude when no one was watching. And suddenly, her usual games don't work. The teasing, the testing, the tactics, they fall flat. She's confused, she's intrigued, she's drawn in, not because he wants her, but because he doesn't need her. And that's what makes her want him. Because real attraction isn't created through words. It's created through discipline, mystery, and mastery of self. That aura, it wasn't bought. It wasn't faked. It was earned through silence, sweat, and self-respect. Part 7. The man you become. You're no longer the boy who needed to be needed, the boy who begged to be seen, who broke himself into pieces just to fit into someone else's puzzle. That version of you, he died quietly. No funeral, no eulogy, just a silent decision to become something more. Now, you walk like a man with nothing to prove. You speak less, but your words carry weight. And your silence, it's louder than most people screaming. You're no longer chasing love. You're attracting respect. You're no longer asking, am I enough? You're answering with your life. I always was. And people feel it, not because you're trying to be powerful, but because you've become the kind of man who doesn't flinch, fold, or fade. You don't belong in drama. You don't belong in chaos. You belong in stillness, because that's where you were forged. When you speak, eyes shift, rooms quiet, not out of fear, but out of reverence. They see now. You didn't wait for someone to choose you. You chose yourself over and over again. And every version of you that once relied on external love, he's gone. What remains is a man sharpened by solitude, refined by rejection, focused by the fire that nearly broke him. And now, you no longer chase. You no longer explain. You no longer wait. You lead. Part 8. A Stoic's Truth. Every minute you spend alone isn't time lost. It's time invested. While they partied, you train. While they chased love, you chased purpose. While they begged to be chosen, you were choosing discipline. And now they look your way, not because you tried to impress them, but because your silence did. They don't see the man they once ignored. They see the man they can't control, because you're not desperate. You're not waiting. You're rising, and the higher you rise, the quieter it gets. But don't fear that silence. That's where the Stoic lives. That's where power is forged. That's where noise dies and clarity begins. As Epictetus once said, he who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. So if you're walking the path alone right now, keep walking, because long before the world hears you, it will feel your presence. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more Stoic strategies the world isn't ready to hear.